tonight, a closer look at the destruction and damage left in the wake of the Kingston wildfire.
Some folks have lost everything. We have firefighters who've lost everything.
It's going to be a difficult time. It's going to be a difficult weeks, months, and even years.
Community officials are worried about the widespread loss in Conception Bay North.
A provincial election is around the corner, and the NDP says we need to take better care of the people who take care of this province's children.
You need to treat early childhood educators like the essential resource that they are.
We'll have more later in the show.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. We begin tonight with the evacuation orders now lifted for all of Conception Bay North. For some affected residents, now begins the difficult process of assessing what was lost and figuring out how to rebuild. Terry Roberts was in the area today and has more.
It's another bittersweet day on the north shore of Conception Bay. After nearly a month of raging wildfires and evacuations, all communities are now reopened, and the true extent of the damage is being revealed.
So many charred scenes, homes turned into rubble, brick chimneys now standing alone, unsupported by the homes they once heated. A cleanup well underway, services being restored, condemned appliances out for disposal. And for as far as the eye can see, a blackened landscape. And so many painful moments today as more residents returned to hard-hit communities such as Western Bay and Okerpit Cove. The barriers came down before the lunch hour, and slowly, evacuees who've been in limbo for weeks started trickling back, with the media asked to give them space. And there's this, Cabot Academy in Western Bay, shaping young minds for decades. It's now a twisted pile of scorched steel. The nearly 60 students who are set to attend here next month have been displaced to other schools. The adjacent playground, untouched. More than 200 structures that were connected to the power grid have been destroyed. Many families with very little and no insurance have lost everything. And there are already questions about what some towns will look like as the recovery gets underway.
The longer people, are living somewhere temporarily, the more likely it is that they may actually end up staying away. I mean, if you finally get somewhere else, sort of put roots down, and this turns into years before really rebuilding can happen, it'll make a big impact to the shore.
Before this summer, there were 340 households in this town. But 44 of those homes are now gone, and the situation would have been much worse if not for the efforts of volunteers like these. Today, they're stoic, but standing tall. And despite the containment of the wildfires, they're still on a knife's edge, responding with haste to every call, devotion to duty, unbent by the weeks of strain and dangerous, back-breaking work. Their mandate is to protect people and property in this region. Just under 30 members, and they've been fighting fires practically all summer. But this disaster was very personal.
The wildfires took a heavy toll on this volunteer brigade. 5 members lost their homes. Many others had property damage. 1 lost a business. And that's just the taste of the fallout from all the chaos and destruction this summer along this coast.
Some folks have lost everything. We have firefighters who've lost everything. So it's taken a toll on all of us, but especially on those. Physically, emotionally.
Whatever help that we can get from both levels of government, for the residents themselves, for the town, we're hoping that, eventually people are going to be able to rebuild. I mean, whether it's, helping people out that don't have insurance, that have lost everything, helping even people that have insurance, filling some of the gaps that insurance doesn't cover.
It's been a hard summer on this shore, as if someone took a flamethrower to the landscape. The question now, how will they rise from the ashes? Terry Roberts, CBC News, Adams Cove.
Well, there's quite the scene in a part of downtown St. John's with a heavy police presence on Brazil Street. Just moments ago, a man was apprehended by police. Another was seen taken in a police car hours before. Now, the RNC, with the help of the RCMP, have been at Brazil Street apartments since this morning. Residents are now being allowed back in. Police were initially called to a possible weapons offense. Ariana Kelland was there earlier this afternoon.
So this is Brazil Street Apartments. This apartment building is between Brazil Street here in downtown St. John's and Casey Street. And the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary were called here around 11 o'clock this morning to a possible weapons offence. And they've been here for much of the afternoon. More police cars are arriving, many unmarked vehicles. A short while ago, we saw the tactical unit arrive with guns and shields, looking as though they're going to try to make entry into the building or into a specific apartment within the building. Now, residents here who had left while this was happening have been told they can't go back in. So in front of me here, there are lots of people just waiting on the street to see what happens. They can't go back in to get their things until all of this is over, but there are still some residents within the building with a shelter in place. Now, it's been a bit chaotic here at the Brazil Street Apartments over the last week. The Royal Newfoundland Constabulary confirmed for me that there have been multiple calls here over the past 5 days, and residents say that just the other night, police were led on a high-speed chase that ended here. Someone actually backed into a store in Mount Pearl, a Needs convenience store, made their way here to Brazil Street, ditched the vehicle here right at these apartment buildings here. And just in May, there was a shooting here. So residents say that they're fed up with the violence. They're fed up with these types of situations happening and interrupting their livelihoods. So as of now, it's a waiting game to see how long the police will be here and see if they get the person who they're looking for inside. Ariana Kelland, CBC News, St. John's.
One man's memories of a traumatic event were put to the test today in the trial of 64-year-old Tony Humby. Cross-examination wrapped up for the trial's first complainant, a man who says he was attacked by Humby in 2007. As Ryan Cook reports, the defense raised several inconsistencies in his story over the years, but first a warning, this report contains details of sexual assault.
The complainant on the stand today says he was sexually assaulted by Tony Humby at Humby's trailer on Hussey Drive in 2007. He also says another man, Humby's fiancée Gord, took part in the assault. The complainant went to police, gave 2 statements, but no charges were laid until 2 years ago, and everything he told police has been put under the microscope this week. Defense lawyer Mark Grushy pointed out much of the man's evidence has changed since he first spoke to police that night in 2007. He didn't mention Gord assaulting him in that first interview, and he didn't mention any previous relationship with Humby, despite now saying he knew him for 2 years prior to the alleged assault. On the stand, the man said he got heavy into drugs after what he calls the incident, wiping the memories from his brain. He says he only recently began to remember more. Police elected not to press charges in 2007, a decision that the lead investigator has acknowledged she disagrees with today. We also heard from another police officer today who pulled Humby over just 3 weeks after the alleged assault in 2007. Humby was stopped near Cape Spear at 3 a.m. with 3 teens in his vehicle, 2:16, 1:13. The officer said he felt something was strange about the situation and made the decision to remove the teens from the vehicle and drive them home. Nobody in the car would give statements to police, and no charges were laid. That officer said he didn't know Humby had been accused of sexual assault weeks earlier until he got back to the station and looked it up. At that point, he made a report and filed it with child protection officials. Our gut feeling was something was off, he said. The trial will break for the long weekend, picking up again Tuesday morning. Ryan Cook, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, 2 companies have pleaded not guilty to workplace safety charges related to a fatal 2022 explosion at the Come By Chance refinery. Brea Renewable Fuels and Lorneville Mechanical are set to go on trial in October, but lawyers for both companies told a judge today they're in talks with the Crown to resolve the case before then. The explosion 3 years ago resulted in the death of 1 worker and seriously injured 7 others. Well, it has been a day of waiting in St. Lawrence. The NordSpace rocket still hasn't launched from the community's Atlantic Spaceport complex, but here now's Peter Cowan is live at the launch site. So, Peter, what's happened there today?
Yeah, a lot of people have been waiting. I was out here at about 4 a.m. Some people in town got up and were out at 5:30 when the launch window opened, hoping it might launch. And it got very close this morning. They had it loaded with propellant. There was one small technical issue, not with the rocket, but with a generator that was supplying compressed air, and they had to scrub this morning's launch. Since 3 o'clock this afternoon, they've been busy trying to get the launch again. And when I look here, we're 10 minutes away from a launch, but that's on hold right now, likely because they're busy filling the liquid oxygen into the rocket. So it's quite usual that we get it to counts down for a bit, then you get a hold, then it counts down for a little bit. One person who's been watching this virtually today with a lot of interest is Canadian astronaut Chris Hadfield, who says what the team is doing here today is significant.
Everything begins somewhere, and once it's already built, everyone sort of takes it for granted. But if you look at what SpaceX has done, they were nothing, 25 years ago. They were no company at all, and now they lead the entire world in space launches. They've taken a pretty desolate little bit of bayou down on the Mexican border and turned it into a huge, thriving, extremely commercially viable and valuable launch site. And that's the sort of early stage we're at St. Lawrence right now, where all they've done is, put through a road, build a couple of concrete pads so they can safely launch. But really, they're just putting the foundations in for what can come.
You heard him talk about SpaceX there. Well, in fact, the acting launch director used to work at SpaceX. He's a Canadian from Alberta, but he said it was too important to not come home and develop the industry here, which is why he jumped at the opportunity to come work for NordSpace.
For me, it's about trying to continue that to help build more, because space is just an ever-growing big, huge industry, and I want Canada to be part of that. And doing that in the States isn't going to help Canada. So I figured if I come back here with what I know, learn being able to apply that, then I figure I could make a biggest impact here in Canada doing that.
So it's about 50 minutes left in the launch window. It closes at 7 o'clock tonight. So a lot of people with their fingers crossed, hoping, looking at that countdown clock, hoping that this rocket goes tonight. Because if not, it was supposed to be the last day of their launch window. There's some talk that they may extend, but right now everyone's focus here is on just trying to get this launch off today. Reporting live from St. Lawrence, I'm Peter Cowan for Here and Now.
Yeah, we'll certainly be keeping a close eye on that throughout the show. Well, the NDP isn't waiting for the Liberal government to kick off the provincial election. Today, the party made a campaign promise. It says the NDP will make high-quality childcare more accessible. Here Now's Mark Quinn reports.
The NDP says it has a plan to ensure more young people like these get the childcare they need. The party says $10 a day daycare is good, but it also says we must hire more people to actually provide it.
We've heard an awful lot of announcements on increasing spaces, but what often doesn't come with that a human resources plan to put people there.
You need to treat early childhood educators like the essential resource that they are.
The NDP's candidate for the Mount Sion district is a small business owner and a mother. She says the childcare system must be overhauled.
In providing $10 a day, it's great for the parents, but you also need to make sure you're prepping the system to be able to sustain when those spots are opening up. You can't say you're creating spots without having a labor force ready to sustain those spots.
The NDP says early childhood educators need better pay and benefits. The party wants ECEs to have 10 paid sick days a year and a defined benefits pension.
Provide them with the sick days they need. Provide them with a pension.
The NDP says the pensions it's proposing would cost $11.2 million annually, but they say that would be money well spent.
These are people who, because of the work they do, I'm able to run a business, I'm able to be in the workforce, contributing to our economy, but they're on the front lines caring for my child, and not just caring in terms of like babysitting, but providing highly influential education.
The NDP has never formed the Newfoundland and Labrador government, but its ideas have helped shape policy in this province. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, temperatures today a little warmer than they were yesterday. We're from about 2 to 10 degrees for most areas, with the exception of the south coast, of course, where it was fairly warm yesterday. Keeping my eye on an area of low pressure to the south, that is going to head towards our neck of the woods as we head through the next 24 hours, and it's going to bring some rain with it. So expect that rain to be fairly heavy at times tomorrow. Also, some fairly windy conditions as well. And we've got an unsettled long weekend. I will break all of those details down for you when I come back a little later.
Residents of Labrador and parts of the Northern Peninsula can now apply for subsidized flights to and from select airports in the province. During an event in Wabush yesterday, government announced a $3.5 million deal with PAL Airlines that would reduce the base rate for flights and include a 30% price reduction for residents. There are restrictions attached to that. Only residents of Labrador and the Northern Peninsula qualify, and they must apply for the discount 28 days before the flight. There are 175 spaces per week. Labrador Affairs Minister Lisa Dempster says the change will significantly reduce the cost of flights.
As an example, for those of you here in Lab West and you want to fly out, you're probably right now paying $1,400 return. Once this program is launched, our new base fare is $909.56. Residents will actually be paying $636.69. So we have the $1,400, we have the new base fare of $909. You'll pay $636 because our government is coming in with a subsidy of $272.87.
Well, let's get some reaction from the opposition. Joining me now is PCMHA for Torngat Mountains, Leela Evans. So this subsidized flight out of Labrador, this is something that you've been calling for a long time, and many other people in Labrador have been calling for. What did you think when you heard about that announcement?
Well, first off, we didn't really want subsidized travel. We wanted reduced rates for travel because the cost of traveling is so expensive in Labrador. And it really impacts people's quality of life. What we wanted was to reduce airfare, that people, when they purchased their tickets, the airfare was reduced. Now with this, it's really going to reduce. It's not going to help very many people, I don't think.
And this requirement to book the ticket in advance, I think it might be 28 days in advance looking at the application. How much of a challenge do you think that will be for residents? Because there would be no such thing as a last-minute flight. You'd have to book it 28 days in advance. What do you think about that?
Well, it's going to eliminate people who want to be able to travel up and visit a loved one who's in the home in Goose Bay, especially if somebody gets sick, or if you need to travel last minute, or even if you need to travel a week in advance. So it's going to restrict when you can travel. And like I said, there's going to be very few seats for people in my district to be able to travel. So for us, it's very disappointing. And also, like, another thing I'd like to point out is this is subsidizing the airlines again. The airlines are the ones that are going to benefit from this because traffic will increase and they'll get the benefit of it without addressing the fact that we have a monopoly airline for PAL and for Air Borealis, and there's no questioning or investigation into why the costs are so high. Like in the last 5 years, why did the ticket price go up 47% out of Wabush, 33% out of Goose Bay? These are the hard questions. And also what really bothers me is this is being introduced now last minute to sort of buffer off what happened with the tourists on the island portion of the province being subsidized. Did they have to apply 28 days in advance? No, they didn't. You know what I mean? So like all the conditions and hurdles we have to jump through didn't apply to them. So for us, it's an election ploy, it's last minute, it's not very thought out, and it's very restricted, and we're not going to get much benefit from it.
I mean, for people who do qualify, it is quite the price dip, though, from $1,400 to $650.
Well, you look at why is it so expensive to travel in Labrador? Why is it so expensive to be able to travel from northern Labrador to Goose Bay, right? People can go to Florida, for much less, and we're within the province. I like to have the monopoly. The airline monopoly question. I'd like to have the price gouging that went on in the last 5 years question, and I'd like to have the airlines held to account so that we can actually access affordable travel.
Ashley, it's too bad the rocket hasn't launched yet. I know that you have been really interested in this all day.
Yeah.
I saw it on your computer screen, watching, waiting for it. And I guess weather has been part of the reason today and earlier this week that it hasn't been able to launch.
Yeah, certainly earlier this week with the rain. It poured rain earlier today, brought much needed rain to parts of the province for sure. And then today, this morning was perfect, but this evening, or this afternoon, I should say, we did see some fog roll in along the south coast of the island, and it's going to continue. The weather will likely play a factor if they don't launch today. There's no way they're launching tomorrow because even more rain is on the way. We've got an area of low pressure to our south, and that is going to be our weather maker for the next at least 24 to 36 hours. It is tapping into, again, some tropical moisture along that cold front, and I'll show you that as we head through tonight and into tomorrow. Really through the overnight, we'll start to see some of that moisture directed towards us. And then as we head into tomorrow, late morning, early afternoon, we're looking at most of that being directed towards the eastern portion of the island. So what does fall rain-wise will be heavy at times, and that will continue at least until the afternoon. Eventually that area of low pressure will pull off. Now, Environment Canada has a special weather statement in effect for the Avalon, Burin Peninsula, Bonavista Peninsula, Terra Nova, and the Canagra Peninsula. And there's likely no rainfall warnings yet because there's still a little bit of disagreement into exactly where we are going to see some of that heaviest rain. Now, we may even see that through parts of Central as well. So this is the future tracker. I put some winds on there for you because along with this system, this area of low pressure is intensifying a little bit, and it's going to bring some fairly gusty winds right along with it. So winds will be relatively light tonight. We won't really see anything till we get through the day tomorrow, but we are looking at some showers along the south coast by the time we get into the early morning hours. And then that is going to push north. So temperatures tonight are going to be sitting somewhere between 9 to 12 or even 13 degrees across the island, between 8 and 12 for Labrador. Other than some showers in Lab West, it's actually going to be a fairly nice night for those of you across the Big Land. And then as we look ahead to Saturday, here's when we'll see the next when we'll see that rain move in. So by the time we get into tomorrow mid-morning, we will be dealing with likely some heavy rain at this point, the eastern half of the island, and we can see some gusty winds right along with it. For about the noon hour, you're looking at winds gusting between 70 to 90 kilometers per hour along the south coast. They will be out of the east. That system will continue to push north. Then we'll see some windy conditions starting for the Avalon in the Bonavista Peninsula, where we're going to be looking at gusts between 75 and 80 kilometers per hour, and again out of the east. And then eventually we'll see a little bit of a break once that rain ends into the afternoon from those winds by the time we get into the evening hours, and then they'll ramp back up again through the overnight with those winds gusting near about 70 kilometers per hour. Now, taking a look at rainfall amounts, again, discrepancy on where we're going to see the heaviest rain, but it does look like somewhere between 20 to as much as 50 millimeters of rain will fall. Is this where the swath's going to be, or is it going to be a little bit further east? That's up for debate, but Environment Canada, I'm sure, will issue some rainfall warnings once that becomes a little more clear. But overall, daytime highs tomorrow are going to be in the mid to upper teens, along with those gusty winds. Winds will be out of the northeast for the rest of the province, or island rather. And then for Labrador, you're looking at your temperatures in the teens and 20s through the day, with a little bit of shower activity towards the coast and the potential in the west as well. So unsettled weekend. I'll get into all of that a little later.
Well, as we heard earlier in the show, evacuees from Conception Bay North finally have the green light to go home. And for some, that also means being reunited with their pets. Elizabeth Whitten reports.
Inside this Mount Pearl doggy daycare and boarding house, there are barks, wagging tails, and plenty of sniffing. Margaret Burden and David Milley of Blackhead are visiting their dogs, Dory, the yellow Labrador puppy, and their 2 older beagles, Digger and Bullet. They've been out of their home since August 4th and ended up staying with family in St. John's. But they had to find a place for their canine companions. That's when they heard about Republic Pets.
They were offering kenneling for evacuees, which was like a dream came true for us because we had no idea what to do. Stressed to death, what do you do?
Labrador puppy Dory even met her brother Sailor, who was boarding at Republic Pets. Knowing their dogs are so well cared for is helping ease some of the stress they're under, but parting can be hard too.
I enjoy coming to see the dogs. Some days I'll say, I don't want to go see him because it's too hard to leave him again, right? But you're very much relieved to see how healthy they are and how much they're loved and looked after here.
Republic Pets doors hadn't been open long when the Kingston wildfire forced hundreds out of their homes. Kelsey Suley says she and her husband opened their facility's doors to help anyone they could.
My brother is a firefighter, so we're always trying to find ways to help within the community, and this was just an opportunity for us to be able to take in as many evacuees as we could.
Evacuees have been challenged, trying to find temporary places to live that allow dogs, or having to still work and find places for their dogs to stay in the day. At any given time in the past few weeks, Suley says they've had 20 dogs in their care. On Thursday, the evacuation order was lifted for some areas in Conception Bay North. That same day, Burden and Milley headed home to take stock of their Blackhead property. Their house is still standing and unscathed, aside from the lingering smell of smoke. They haven't moved back just yet, but when they do, it will be with Dory, Digger, and Bullet. Elizabeth Whitten, CBC News, Mount Pearl.
Well, in other dog news, some furry friends got the chance to say hello and goodbye to the Muse Center today, or yesterday rather. CBC's Julie Israel has the story.
It's going out with a splash. The HGR Muse Community Center says goodbye to the facility loved by many with a pool party for dogs. This is the first and last time these dogs will enjoy the old Muse Center. The humid air is pungent, and pet owners hardly notice.
I said, oh my God, this is like amazing. Why can't they have this? Like, I know St. John's is small, but this is fantastic. I'm really glad they put it out for us.
So does your husky Abby like to swim?
No, she's very afraid, but we're working on it. I should have brought in more balls for them to throw. Abby has a life jacket, but I don't think she really needs it. Dogs can swim.
Abby wasn't the only one hesitant to break the rules, but once one leader breaks the surface of the water, everything goes.
So we brought our youngest dog, Trigger, and he's absolutely loving it.
Do you wish that you can go inside the pool?
Yeah. Probably like about 20 years old. I used to come a lot, and I was telling Calla about it, and I was saying that when the new one is open now, I'll have to take her there. Pretty excited about it. We love swimming, don't we?
Can I take Trigger? It's going to be a really shiny new pool, so we want to get Trigger's fur in there.
Yes. Yeah.
Unfortunately for Calla, this pool party is not like the others. The usual rules of play don't exist today. No running, no cell phones, no diving, no problem. Lifeguards say today's cleanup is a matter of shutting off the lights.
Well, they're just making sure that all the dogs and all the people are safe, but they're not trained to like go in and rescue dogs out of the pool. But yeah, they mostly rescue people, so it's a bit of novel territory for them.
And what kind of residues are you finding here?
Definitely some dog hair, lots of dog hair. Yeah, that's why you can only do it at the last swim of the pool, because it gets all in the filters.
It's a new experience for everyone, including Odin, who bought a life jacket just for the occasion. How do you think Odin liked it?
I think it was a life experience for him. It's a memory of the Muse for him. I don't think he's looking forward to the new one closing anytime soon. But yeah, it was great to share the moment with him.
Out with the old and in with the new. With weeks away from the new facility's opening, these dogs work hard to leave it on a high note. Julia Israel, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, starting Monday, the shingles vaccine will be available free for anyone over the age of 50. Shingles is a painful rash caused by the chickenpox virus. It can cause lifelong nerve issues and other severe health complications. Eligible individuals who want the vaccine can contact their local pharmacy, doctor, or public health office. And this move fulfills a promise Premier John Hogan made during his campaign for the Liberal leadership. Well, the provincial government is also investing $3.8 million to expand the province's electric vehicle charging network. This project will see the construction of 4 fast charging stations next year in Lansaloo and Port Hope Simpson. We'll also see an additional 10 new ultra-fast EV chargers installed at locations across the province, as shown in this map. NL Hydro is now accepting applications from local businesses within these communities that are interested in becoming a host for this new round of chargers. And another government announcement, the province is starting a new service in Western Newfoundland to help newcomers from Ukraine. Immigration Minister Jerry Byrne says about 400 Ukrainians live on the West Coast, so his department is spending more than $750,000 on a new Ukrainian cultural and integration hub. It will supply translation services and English language training courses to help newcomers with employment as well as preserving their culture.
They should never, ever feel as though that they have to choose between Canada and Canadianism or Ukraine and Ukrainianism. The young people deserve to, and it would be very valuable that they learn Ukrainian as they learn English. Young children in our school system should never be separated from who they are.
If that place where you live,
Well, many Ukrainians are sharing a little bit of their home in Corner Brook right now. It's all happening at an exhibition of Ukrainian culture in the Rotary Arts Center. Have a look.
Hello, my name is Katerina Sidorenko. I'm Ukrainian and I live in Corner Brook almost a year and a half. I arrived in Canada when the war in Ukraine began 3 years ago. So today we have an amazing event, Ukrainian embroidery exhibition. What is embroidery? It's a national code of Ukraine. So it's a handmade, it's a workshop, it's a craft. It's, I would say, like something luxury in Ukrainian culture. I would say half of stuff was sent to us from Ukrainian National Federation, Avalon branch, and all of the stuff the same. They are very ancient, like more than 100 years old for sure. Some are for wedding stuff, some are just like I would say like everyday clothes for people, right? But they are ancient really. So we just try very careful to put them on the wall, but everybody can look how it's look like, right? Ukrainian style, Ukrainian embroidery, yeah. I can't do embroidery stuff unfortunately, but my grandmother did, and one of her embroidery stuff is there in the exhibition, yeah. It's amazing, I'm proud of my grandmother, I'm proud of my country, I'm proud of my culture, and I'm proud to be Ukrainian. In Newfoundland, basically we will have around 2,000 or 3,000 Ukrainians who arrived here because of the war or before the war in Ukraine. But like I'm really proud that we create this project because on the West Coast, for sure, we don't have a lot of Ukrainians in St. John's. It's a capital. We are not. But I'm really happy that we have these events because I think even for us to feel like home, right? To see this piece of home in Corner Brook, somewhere else, like far away from home. It's amazing. And the same, like to share it with Canadian people, just to show who we are. Because to be truly, I know that some people before the war in Ukraine, they don't know even that Ukraine exists, or like, what's the country is it? Like, where is it? Somewhere in the east of Europe? Okay, but right now, I would like people know about my country not because of the war, but because of my rich culture, our rich culture.
NDP leader Jim Dinn says he's tired of waiting for the election writ to drop. Though the NDP only won 2 seats in the last provincial election, Dinn says he believes his party will make big gains in this year's provincial election. He's hoping to become the official opposition.
For my 6 years in the House of Assembly, listening to the bickering and the childish banter and the insults and the over everything from Churchill Falls to whatever between the Liberals and the PCs, and I will tell you this, if you look through any of the tape or the video, you will not find the NDP participating in it. To me, we're put there in that House of Assembly to do the work of the people. We get paid good money to represent the people. And what I've seen is this political theater in the House of Assembly. I've seen it carry out into, like even in the announcement of Churchill Falls, they're playing games. We're not here to play games. We're deadly serious about making sure that the people of this province have the best possible opportunity and address, the fundamental cost of a living, affordability issue that people see in various forms. So from our point of view, I think that's been attractive. That's been attracting a lot of people, not only to run for us, but also to consider voting for us. I think there's an opportunity here for change.
Now for something completely different, a new handmade fishing net is creating waves. Two entrepreneurs were frustrated with the fish landing nets on the market and decided to make their own.
I've had wood nets, I've had metal nets. The metal ones are rattly, the wood ones, if you fall on them, they break. So we wanted to make a nice sturdy fishing net that was accessible, strong, could come apart, packed down very easily into your backpack.
I mean, a lot of their nets, either the connector piece is plastic and they're sometimes using metal screws. What we've done is actually just pure stainless steel the whole way through with the aluminum connector. So basically everything is metal.
It's capped internally on the pipe and capped up in the connector pieces, so no water can get in when it's attached or when it's detached. Yeah, we definitely knew there was going to be a market, especially where we'd had so much trouble around here trying to find a net that we liked, or a net at all at that point. Yeah, initially we were kind of thinking, well, if it doesn't take off, we just made two very expensive nets for ourselves, and that's what we're going to get out of that. But yeah, it just so happened that some of the nets that were being sold locally were coming out of the States, and with the tariffs coming on, it just hit the perfect time for us to make these locally and sell them.
In terms of like the most rewarding moment, I think, would be we were doing one of our first orders, and I think we had finally, the prototyping was done. It was, it was kind of as polished as it could have been in terms of the design. And then we painted them, and then we baked them in the oven. We had to walk away and close the door. And then that next day of being able to take them out of the oven, and be like, wow.
Well, a good quality net is paramount if you want to keep your fish, or you want to keep the fish healthy and make sure they come in safe and you can release them.
I just want to mention that story is brought to us by the CBC's Joanne Dooley. Joanne has been with the CBC since the 1980s, and she retired this month. So congratulations, Joanne. Wishing you all the best in your next chapter. Well, it's Friday, so let's find out who's celebrating. Happy anniversary to Ray and Jean Oak on Fogo Island, who are celebrating 59 years together. Happy 50th anniversary to Larry and Trudy Burge of Clarenville. Congratulations to Betty and Lauren Sheaves of Port aux Basques on your 54th anniversary. Wishing Donna and Gerald Rogers of Cape Ray a happy 51st anniversary. Happy 55th anniversary to Reg and Evelyn Reddick of Herring Neck. Leonard and Julia Lynch of Wabush will celebrate their 53rd anniversary on Monday. Happy 50th anniversary to Eric and Emily Seward of New Perlican. Congratulations to Irene and Spencer House of Gillams. They've been married for 50 years. Happy 57th anniversary to John and Kathy Hewitt from Grand Falls, Windsor. John and Mary Drake of Marystown are marking 57 years of marriage. And here's a double anniversary. Congratulations to Minnie and Fred Drover of Hodges Cove and Levi and Mira Churchill in Clarenville. They've been married for 59 years. Wishing Wallace and Betty Pitcher of St. John's a very happy 56th anniversary. Anniversary greetings going out to Gerald and Charlotte Penny of Port Hope Simpson, who are celebrating their 50th anniversary. Happy anniversary to Doug and Teresa LeGros. They're marking 55 years of marriage. Congratulations to Eugene and Thelma Pierce of Corner Brook, who are celebrating their 53rd anniversary tomorrow. Otto and Paula Elliott from Newman's Cove have been married for 54 years. Congratulations. Wishing Damien and Marie Ryan of Paradise a happy 67th anniversary tomorrow. Happy anniversary to Jack and Judy Vay of Kelligrews, who are celebrating 59 years on Monday. Lois and Abe Rideout of Buren celebrate their 57th anniversary tomorrow. Happy 62nd anniversary on Sunday to Nathaniel and Veronica Thistle in St. John's. Congratulations to Marjorie and Carl Moores of Grand Falls, Windsor. They're celebrating 65 years of marriage. Now to some birthdays. Happy birthday to Absalom Baker, who just celebrated his 93rd birthday. Marjorie Noseworthy turned 100 yesterday. Happy birthday from your family and friends. Happy 91st birthday to Irene Watkins, who's living in Springdale. Wishing Marion Mallows of Gander a happy 90th birthday. Happy birthday to Midge Morgan of Mount Pearl, who turned 90 this week. Happy birthday to Ethel Strangemore of Mainbrook. She just turned 92. Happy 93rd birthday to Phyllis Cutler in Gander. She celebrated yesterday. Happy birthday to Gordon Bartlett of Kippens, who also turned 93 on Thursday. Happy 95th birthday to Eloise Sainsbury in St. John's. Love from all your friends. Birthday greetings to Marie Dix in St. John's, who's turning 90. Happy birthday also to Ray Meany. He's also turning 90. Happy birthday to Mary O'Brien from Witless Bay, who's turning 94. Birthday wishes going out to Effie Taylor Perry of Harbor Grace, who's celebrating her 90th birthday. Happy birthday to Gerard Feltham, who turned 97 on Wednesday. Happy birthday to Audrey and Wilson Stoyles of Goobies. Audrey turned 90 yesterday and Wilson turns 94 on Sunday. Birthday wishes going out to Lauren Murley of Corner Brook. He's celebrating his 92nd birthday. And happy 92nd birthday tomorrow to Pauline Butt in Corner Brook. Oh, another fine crowd. Congratulations once again. And some disappointing news to report. Ashley, you've been keeping an eye on the rocket. What's the situation there?
Yeah, so it looks like they had to scrub because there was some ignition failure issues detected. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah, they've been trying to launch Canada's first ever commercial rocket out of St. Lawrence all week. Mm-hmm. Tried to launch it on Monday, but I think it was weather on Monday that caused problems.
Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier that it's going to be rainy there tomorrow.
Yeah, so if I guess I have no idea when they're planning on restarting this, but definitely not tomorrow because there is a lot of rain on the way, and it isn't going to last long though. As we head into the long weekend, we will see things get a little bit better. Let's take a look at what's going on until we get there. Saturday evening, that area of low pressure will be long gone. The winds will die off as well because it's going to be fairly windy on Saturday, but by Sunday morning, looks like a mix of sun and cloud through the day. There is still some chances of showers as we head through the afternoon, so a little bit unsettled pretty much across the board. Particularly, though, the best chance of showers will be for the west coast up across Labrador as well, from the Upper Lake Melville area towards the coast. That's the best chance of some showers in the afternoon. And then we'll see another round of showers on Sunday evening rather, for the eastern portion of the island. And that will continue through the overnight. Again, some periods of rain, potentially heavy at times through the overnight into early Monday. Temperature wise, we're looking at daytime high somewhere between the upper teens, low 20s for most of the island. Labrador single digits for the north coast. So you're down to about 9 degrees. Otherwise, between 15 and 18 will be the daytime highs on your Sunday. Now, as we look ahead to Labor Day Monday, some showers certainly possible along the south coast of the island. Generally looking at some cloudy periods. I wouldn't be surprised to see some showers across the Avalon as well. That will happen in the evening. And then for Labrador, a mix of sun and cloud. Slight chances of some showers, but for the most part, you're just looking at a mix of sun and cloud. Temperatures rebounding quite nicely for you. You're back up into the low to mid 20s towards the coast, though, and along the strait, temperatures will be a little cooler than that, only about 14 to 19 degrees. And then across the island, temperatures will hang out in the teens for your Monday for St. John's and really the Avalon, but a little warmer, upper teens, low 20s, pretty much for the rest of the island with the exception of the northern peninsula where you'll hang out around 16 degrees as well. A roller coaster ride as far as those temperatures goes. We take a look at the long range forecast. Some shower chances there Monday, like I said, Tuesday, periods of sun and cloud. Wednesday, chance that we will see some periods of rain develop again and back down to the teens as our daytime high. And your overnight lows are staying somewhere between 11 to 13 degrees. And then for central Newfoundland, you're looking at your temperatures warming up quite nicely as well. Low to mid 20s after some showers on Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday looking beautiful. And then western Newfoundland looks gorgeous into midweek, where your highs will sit between 20 and 24 degrees. Now for Labrador, look at that, mid to upper 20s by the time we get into Tuesday and Wednesday. Gorgeous weather. Western Labrador, some showers there by Wednesday, but overall it's looking pretty decent. Your temperatures will drop to the teens by the time we get there. Our weather photo of the day is taken in St. John's at Ballyhaley, actually, out on the golf course yesterday, enjoying, some stormy clouds there. Thank you to Pauline for that photo. If you have any weather photos you'd like to share with us, we'd love to see them. You can share them to my Facebook page or email them to nophotos@cbc.ca.
Very dramatic.
Very dramatic. That was just some showers.
Yeah. And the Labor Day weekend is here.
Yep.
We're in a couple more days of August left.
I can't believe it. By the time we see you again, it'll be September.
Yep. And but stay with us on Monday. We'll have a half-hour show.
Yep.
And then on Tuesday, we're back to the regular time. So. All right, well, I hope you have a wonderful long weekend.
Good night.